Patriotic greetings from Lowell, the sister city to Bamenda, the economic capital of Ambazonia. My name is Pa Frunde Kimbeng, your humble host and producer of African Hour. African Hour is 20 years on the air, providing accurate, fair, and balanced discussion of issues that are of interest and importance to human life. The host and producer of African Hour has pledged allegiance to serve Ambazonia and the public, not individuals or groups. Africa Hour has interviewed dignitaries like the late President J.J. Rawlings of Ghana and President Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia of blessed memory. African Hour has also interviewed the Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts at the State House, senators, state rep, mayors, police commissioner, politicians, and average citizens. That is a lot for more than 2 decades and staying out of controversy. The Ambazonian War of Independence is one of the 21st century neglected human misery by La République du Cameroon, the aggressor, for 6 years, sponsored by France. We provide a platform for all Ambazonians to share ideas and disagree without disrespecting each other, and most importantly, respecting with humility our audience. Today's discussion will focus on education and building and maintaining collaboration among Ambazonian liberation factions. To kick off this discussion, I want to bring the 2 comrades who are well known by Ambazonian and the world at large. Comrade Ntube Francis Eseme is Secretary of State for Mobilization, Outreach, and Collaboration for the interim government. He is coming to us from Italy. And Comrade Capo Daniel is the Deputy Defense Chief and spokesperson of the Ambazonian Defense Council, also known as Sense Pass King. He is coming to you from the East, Hong Kong. Gentlemen, welcome to African Hour. Could each of you please introduce yourself to African Hour loyal audience, please? May I say, Comrade Ntube, could you begin?
Thank you very much, Comrade Fru Kimbeng, for inviting me to your powerful show. We are all aware the beginning of this struggle, how you interviewed people of high caliber within the United States and also within your own locality, Lowell. We are proud of you. We're proud of what you're doing. And we are sure and confident that you're continuing in the right path. I want to greet everyone watching us. My name is Ntube Francis. I live in Italy, the chairperson of the SABC television, and now I have been called to serve as the Secretary of State for Mobilization, Outreach, and Collaboration, which is a new department that has been created to emphasize on the importance of this issue, because we've found that our people have been driven apart from the initial collective consciousness that we had. And so we want to show proof by creating this department that will go along to usher in a new wave of connection with other groups and other movements We know that one person, one group state cannot sweep the house. One group, no single individual can take us to destination. So we want to show proof to people that we are interested in this. We may not agree on many issues. We may disagree on a few. We may even have different directions, different things we want to do, but we must show proof to our people in the diaspora, to our people in ground zero, and to the international community that we mean business. So thank you very much, comrade, for having me. And I want to extend my salutations also to Capo Daniel, that I'm happy to have it here. Thank you.
Over to you, Comrade Capo Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Pa Kimbeng, for having me again for the second time. And my very good friend, Mr. Dube Francis, it's nice to share the platform with you. And it's always a wonderful, settling time, powerful. Kimbeng, you have been a cornerstone for Ambazonian journalism, and you have really lived up to that expectation. You always remind me of the good old days of the so-called Cameroon Calling, which was run by Ambazonians, and it's nice to be here and on your platform, the African Network. It's really a big platform, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you very much. I would say, brothers, and we are brothers. We can fight in the house, but you don't choose to be part of the family. You belong.
Oh yes,
So
and I forgot. Just in case you had said we give an introduction, I forgot to just limit it to my name. I am the Deputy Defense Chief of the ADF, which is the military wing of the Ambazonian Governing Council, which I am also the spokesperson. I go by the name Sense Pass King, as you know very well. And I have also served the IG of Sisekwa Yuktabi as a top aide. I was responsible for negotiation with Harmony Bogba, the Common Law Bar Association, to become part of the IG. And I was also a board member of the SCBC. I'm surprised Mr. Francis is now the chair. It's good to have you here. I have served both all the leaders of this liberation movement in some way or other, even including Sako. You remember he launched my trip to Boya. The second interview he had about my trip to Boya was on my platform. And I've worked with Chris Anu as well. In memorable times, I've worked with Shea Kavi Womeleng and many other people within our liberation. So I'm happy to be here.
thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. And for our audience, I will also say that I've had the humility and the privilege to interview almost all the Ambazonian leaders, and going all the way to interview our most reverend Pa Mola Njoli Tumbe Lakintini in Douala. So, in fact, it's an honor to welcome all of you on this show. It is a privilege. Let's get to business now. Gentlemen, what is most important for us is the education. The education is the future of Ambazonia, and we know that La République, for all these years, they have tried to destroy our education, and intentionally bringing their own kids to study English, pushing us to speak French. You all of you are very versed on that, and you know that with education, it changes the mind, it builds the future. It's like a seed that you sow, and education is only as good as the minds of those who build the curriculum. Could each of you please lay your platform from your various organizations, so that our people can see where both leaders are leading us to. Capo, could you go ahead, please?
Yeah, we have over the years we have laid a very strong foundation of community education and setting up a total of 8 community schools in Ambazonia, and 3 of them in areas that have never had any formal school building before, even during the period of the Germans, the period of the Nigerian rule of our country, and even the period of Southern Cameroon, and now in the period of Ambazonia. So for over 3 years, we have raised children. We have also, during this period, developed a curriculum that have been introduced. It has been, it is being considered by our partners in the Presbyterian Church Education Board, the Baptist, and the Catholic. So we are still advocating for them to adopt it, and some community schools that have been opened up using our guidelines by some villages have actually adopted that curriculum. And we have had just one pedagogic meeting on the ground to discuss about it with some experts. And we have a lot of logistic problem with the books we have chosen for our students, and also some challenges in terms of education. And we have also engaged UNESCO. We have had an appeal from our Supreme Commander on the ground to UNESCO directly. It has been followed up by our SS, the Secretary of State, Dr. Ayamba, which have been robust in the United Nations and other world bodies to advocate for specific negotiation on education as a separate issue, because we know that Cameroon do not want to negotiate about the war itself, but we have been able to have some direct presentation to the international community, certain state partners, of what we can be able to negotiate with Cameroon for community education. And the Cameroon government have reacted very brutally, banning basically 90% of schools in our territory, including the schools of Presbyterian Church, Baptist Church, and Catholic Church, and even Islamic churches, Islamic schools have been banned by the Cameroon government. They have tried to make it publicly, but they have publicly released statement that ban schools in Oyo and also in Meme. But practically on the ground, they have told principals, they have told school proprietor that they will not open if they don't follow Cameroon colonial guidelines. And but we are very happy that the way things have played out, 99% of schools have been following our guidelines and have been authorized to operate. And we have just been having tremendous coming back home this year of our students who had fled into Cameroon for studies. They have been returning back home. It was embarrassing to see students leave in September, in August, to travel to La Republique for studies. This year, we did not see the same phenomenon. As a matter of fact, the Cameroon government schools that was visited by the colonial governor, Lele Afrique, we are just receiving videos from our transitional authority in Bamenda who have visited those schools. And today, there were no students, no teachers, absolutely boycotted. So if you need to see victory for Ambazonia, is today we are going to be releasing the video footages of a Longla College,
CCC,
Progressive College, a PCC
PCT.
Progressive. These are the biggest schools in Ambazonia with the highest amount of students at all time. All of them are open under our guidelines. No students putting on uniform, no singing of Cameroon national anthem, no teaching of French, and no teaching of Cameroon history. And the issue of Cameroon French, they are debating. They are still debating. They are saying that it's an international language, not just for La Republique, and it does not have elements of indoctrination of Cameroon identity. So,
Okay.
but in terms of history, Cameroon history is banned, is forbidden. We will conduct exercises unannounced to search the back of students to verify if they are using Cameroon history books. We are going to carry out those operations eventually. It is not going to be announced. So that is where we are with education, and it's a big victory for Ambazonia.
Very good. I could see Comrade Ntube as you were speaking. He was nodding his head. That is really an aspect of collaboration, and that he sees that all of you share a lot, that we all share a lot, and we are passionate about educating our people. Comrade Tube, please, over to you.
Yes, thank you, comrade. Actually, what they're doing is great. In the IG, we uh, pinned on education as a pillar of our liberation. Let's not forget that this struggle began because of education. It began because our system of education, our Anglo-Saxon system of education, was diverging. Uh, uh, our people, our language, because some people sometimes say English is not what should determine an African, but language also influences people's ways of living. Language influences culture, and education deals with culture. It's based on culture. Can you imagine that sometimes we used to study geography, and in geography papers, they will ask you questions about Britain. They will ask you to describe the weather in Britain. That would be difficult for somebody in southern Cameroon to give a detailed description of the weather in Britain. But if you ask a southern Cameroonian to describe you the weather in Boya, in Santa, the person can do that, and they will do that willingly. So education is based to advocate for things which are local, for our geography, for our geopolitical system. That is why we are fighting, not just because we are English speaking, but because this is our culture. We know no other culture. And so education should also be vocational. It should not be an education where people are made to become doctors without a specific vocation. It should be vocational, and that people must not climb all the echelons to be able to start working. So we have been pointing on that. Now we have an able personality at the helm of the education department in the name of Comrade Dr. Telford Guana. He's coming up with a blueprint, an important blueprint that we are going to propose to the Ambazonian people. Because as we usually say, we are just of service in this revolution. And whatever we do, we propose to the people, we propose to all the various groups for us to sit down together and see how better we can improve, on the educational program. So as concerns education, there are a few things for us to take note of, okay? And that will be, we want to maintain the Ambazonian educational heritage. That's the first thing we want to do. We want to stop undesirable social and psychological engineering. We want to allow our children to attend school under secure physical and educational environment. We know also that as of now, as Capo Daniel has just said, our children are being barred from going to school. Being barred doesn't mean that La Republique would say that we have barred you from going to school. When you have the military present everywhere around the local systems, it's difficult for children to go to school with a clean mind. As Capo was saying also, we're working a lot with the communities, local communities, to encourage them to go to school unidentified without their uniforms, so that they be safe. We want to also emphasize that our educational system will have to commit to certain international standards. Okay, we want also to commit to Article 26, which is associated with the UDHR. We want to develop our national policies in line with the CESA, which is a 1625, as a reference point. These are all educational vectors, which once we have it as a people, even before we achieve our full independence, we can start doing the work. What about the curriculum? There's a lot on the way about the educational curriculum. For over 5 years now, we've been working a lot on the curriculum. We even encouraged the televisions. Cabo Daniel, they have their TV. SABC is there. We're always having educational programs on SABC that can educate the people, even by TV. We're supposed to start hammering on encouraging the to encouraging NGOs and civil societies to start educating our children from distance. This is very important because without education, we cannot pull this war alone. We cannot pull this struggle alone because some of us will become old and we need a new generation to continue. And that generation must be more powerful than we are. There is nothing that makes La Republic so afraid of us but our education, our level of education. Not just the program, but the way we were educated. Because we were educated together with culture. And this culture is part of us. That is why we are committed to doing things together, because that is who we are. So comrades, I think there's a lot to talk about, but I would at least end here for now so that we flow together and carry out this conversation together.
What an interesting conversation. And we should equally understand that La République, as all of you have explained and let everyone know, their intention was to water down our system of education. Because you cannot believe that if you go you study in English in those days, in the 80s, those in the 80s will understand this very well. From high school, you go to Yaoundé, they had only one university and everything was French. And we could beat them at their own game. So that shows that our education was solid. And our education was meant to produce professionals. That's why we had commercial schools, we had technical schools, and you could. I mean, anyone who disagrees with me should put a hand up. Where are our technical schools? Where's Ombe? And these were factories producing engineers, and they saw that these guys were the product of our system of school. And let us not equally forget that La République is using this period as an economic bonanza for them, because they will make our area not safe for education, so that our people can cross the Mongo and spend money and educate their own people with our knowledge. They know that we come with a level of acumen and discipline that is unequal on their side. So, which is very good that our people should have in mind that even on our territory in Ambazonia, they will make it impossible for us to even go to school and position armies everywhere. That's a military tactic to pull us behind from our education. And we should not fall from that trap, that we should wait until it is absolutely peaceful before we go to school, because that is their intention. You remember the cut internet, and though they have always come with everything to keep us in the dark. So I am very, very proud of the various steps that both parties are coming to actually fend off this devilish mentality of La République, always trying to keep us behind. So, comrades, one thing which I would like all of you to, this is the schools are going back now. And as I've heard from all of you, and I did hear some quarters out there advocating that schools should be delayed and reopen after October or so, for certain reasons which I do not really understand. I don't know if any of you buy that idea, because I don't think we should buy that idea, because October 1st is coming. And how can we withhold our students who are really the vanguard to, I mean, I remember growing up in West Cameroon, and those holidays were very, very something to look for. Could each of you just present, maybe clarify, because all these things, they confuse our people a lot. I'm so glad that I have pillars of both factions here to shed light on that.
Yeah, if I may, I think the issue have been very disheartening, to tell you the truth. We have worked so hard to make sure that schools, our children have the rights to education. And you should know that even in Ukraine, where they have a conventional war, schools are going on. I mean, physical classes are going on. And in Donbass and in Luhansk, they have online classes going on as we speak. I mean, in the front line. So Ambazonians have no excuse not to send their children to Ambazonian schools. We have banned Cameroon government schools. So we are talking about Ambazonian community schools that we have set up on the ground. Some that we set up, some that we have encouraged communities to set up, and other private and mission schools that we have authorized, and provide them very strict nationalist guidelines where they can operate. And the problem we have now is that this our liberation movement have a lot of fractions, and sometimes you don't know where they get their advice. You don't know if it's a group of rogue soldiers or a group of even possible Cameroon intelligence behind some of those disruptions. And we were really hoping that as this year our education program have picked up steam with over 280 new schools getting direct authorization from us with guide accepting to adhere to our guidelines, that we will be able to demonstrate to the whole world this September that you can see Cameroon have failed, and Ambazonia side by side, they are going to school. And unfortunately, people use the excuse that the September beginning is the same day that Cameroon is opening schools, so they impose a lockdown to use that as that was just an excuse after the lockdown have been declared. And the same people who declared that lockdown have actually said that school will open on 4th of October, and some have said that the school should open on the 1st of January. And all of these groups that have declared this school lockdown and date of schools to open have never presented to the Ambazonian people any school they have authorized or any school they have opened in Ambazonia. So we believe that the organization that have put more effort in this school issue should be given some respect and some privileges when it comes to deciding on how school should go. And we should do it as a family in consultation, not unilaterally. But at least those who have been championing this issue and have showcased to the Ambazonian people on 1st of October the previous 2 years of our community school marching with uniforms. I mean, on camera, we have shown more than 2,000 Ambazonian community school students that have been marching. So we hope that people should take precedence from us. And in particularly to the IG care, which we are campaigning publicly that they should to endorse our education policy, because right now the policy of the IG care is a little bit vague. It says that parents should make the choice. I think the IG care and IG 123 is the same policy, that parents should decide based on the security situation whether to send their children to school or not. And the forces on the ground are in a state of confusion, because when they find respectable organization like the IG care being ambiguous, it gives space for rogue actors to fill the gap and mislead and misguide some forces that don't appear under any political structure to carry out actions like the lockdown that they declared, which disrupted our community school. So we want the IG care, which is reputable, to also support what we are doing, not just behind the scene, but to actively endorse this policy or even bring more policy that is specific, so that soldiers on the ground should know that our fight is not against education, because some of them, they just think we are fighting education, and they think that if schools are going on, it means that the war is over. There is a lot of ambiguity down there, and it's something that we think that if the IG endorses or support our policy, or even come up like we hear Dr. Ngwana is developing a policy for the IG care, should expedite that process, because when you have certainty from the major organization, the Ambazonia Governing Council and the IG care, then you have more clarity on ground zero. People are not confused, and you leave little space for rogue actors to sabotage, and even to Cameroon government, who is fighting so hard against this. They don't want this school this school system to be exposed. They have made it clear, and we don't want some forces who are misguided to help Cameroon unintendedly. So,
I would actually tell my audience that you are watching African Hour, and African Hour has brought to you two distinguished comrades that are sharing views and debating discussions that could advance and precipitate our movement to full and unconditional independence. By these two comrades to agree to come on the show and speak about the issues that affect all of us shows already the collaborative action effort that both of these leaders, I will call, are coming. So we should applaud this step. It can be a step, a baby step, but it is a step to the right direction of cooperating and fighting one and only enemy that we have, La République. Over to you, Mr. Ntube.
Thank you, Comrade Fru, and thank you, Capo Daniel, for that exposure. We know this is a complex matter. As he rightly said, we have so many factions. I mean, so many factions. We can, just like we have so many churches in the world. You see, some people, you can even call some individuals, please come join us, let's do something. No, I'm doing it alone. I sponsor some people back home alone. I do it by myself. I do it directly. You know, so many factions. And where there is anarchy, everybody rules, everybody is a lord. And that's what we are like kind of experiencing, where we don't have common consensus on activity, on action plans. I agree with Capo Daniel that we need to work together. I think we are important movements, the IG Care, and which we don't like to call IG Care, but again, care is our project. So it's not wrong even to call us IG Care, because we care. The egg of sea are important movements in this revolution, and we really need. We've tried on so many occasions to work together. He made a request here that we should actively endorse EGOC project for education. That's a great possibility. Why not? I would just want to return this request with another request, that we hope that, because with EGOC, we've been trying to do things just at the nick of success, something would break off. We hope, because sometimes we live with the fear of trusting one another. We hope that this time around, and maybe we can auction that here, that this time around, whatever we plan to do, we do onto the finish line. And I don't think it's impossible. We have the right representatives. We have people with experience on both sides who can sit down and listen to each other and talk and carve policies. Do not forget that the IG has passed through a lot of problems, internal problems, and so we were also in a couple of years in the face of reorganization, of identifying and picking I'm picking out what are the purest goals to follow this revolution. And I think we are set for work. We are set for work. We've reorganized our team and we want to move forward, collaborate and work with people we can work with. We know EGOVC very well. We know them. And so they are not people, they are people we want to work with. As concerns the educational policies, we plan, what our plan, general plan is to build a national educational policy, just like a national defense. Everything should be based on the idea of national. You see, our nation is a small nation, be it geographically and also by population. And so it is only when we think collectively that we can really succeed and win within the competition that is already amongst other nations. We have to become a brand amongst the international community. We really have to show proof that we can do things together. And this education is one of them. We have people across the carpet that you can meet them everywhere in the world. Kimbe was talking here that some of us come from Hong Kong, some of us are in Italy, some of us are in Lowell in the US. We are across the globe. We have people with experience from all directions who can help to build a great and formidable educational policy that will help our people, not only for today. We should be thinkers of the next generations of 100 and 200 years in the future. America is standing on the pillar of thinkers of 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes.
It's
So
really good. It's very good. We have this exchange.
No, let him finish his thought. I think he has it. Let him finish his
yes,
thought.
I'll just say 1 second, then I'll let him to say what he was saying. Doesn't also forget.
No, I'm talking to you. That you should finish your thought.
Okay. So what I'm saying here is we can, everything is possible. We can bring together our teams. We sit down and talk. I really wanted to pinpoint on the fact that what you lay down today, let's not only be thinking about ourselves, me, Francis, Capo Daniel, our joys, our importance. We should think about the future because our importance would be engraved by the future generation. And once we think that way, we'll have little space for arguments, very little. We'll have little space for divergences. With this, I yield.
Thank you very much. What I'm observing now is that I pay homage to our fathers and our forebears. They never acquired the education that we do now, but they demonstrated by their actions that they could come from different parties, from different political persuasion, but they will campaign together. And after the campaign, they will go and equally have a drink together. That is the spirit of collaboration. And I would, what I have equally noticed from out here in the diaspora with the white people is that, and the black people is, we who work with them, true business is not done at work or in daylight. It is after work that they meet at the bar and discuss strategies. So I hope that what we discuss out here in public, the true work should be behind the scene with each party picking up the phone and calling the other one. There is no excuse. Capo is right there in Hong Kong. You are there in Italy, and the time in Italy is 12 p.m. The time in Hong Kong is 6:39 p.m. and the time in Lowell is 6:39 a.m. We are able to collaborate and work together. There should, in this 21st century, there should be no excuse that Comrade Ayaba should not pick up the phone and call Comrade Yerima or call the other leaders. to discuss, because unity has to be amongst ourselves, so that whatever we project out there should show that we have a theme, we are working together as Ambazonians. And then the international community would look at whatever we're doing, that we support each other. And until we really matured at that level of demonstrating collaboration in public, then you would see that this, our struggle, would get a different recognition by the international community. Capo Daniel, please, over to you.
Yes, I was just applauding the fact that Mr. Francis is on this issue, and we are having this debate. And this is the first of its kind in Ambazonia, where reps from the two factions have met and they're having a debate. It's much better than having one person go on one platform and address the other person, and having the other person on the other platform address the other person. If we can learn from the United States, which is the biggest democracy from the United Kingdom, is that debates sharpens common interests. And when you only debate with somebody that you have common interests with, irrespective of how heated it is or how passionate it is, but it shows that we have one objective, and that should be what we should focus on. And I hope that this should be the beginning of more debates, even on SCBC, on ACN television, to really bring out the best. The democracy is built on debate and challenging of ideas, exchanging of ideas, and people not being afraid to be challenged.
The
So
force of argument, not the argument of force.
yes, so I wish I could still go down there, but I think sometimes you don't want to have the last word on every issue, and I'll let the moderator to guide us.
Well, thank you very much. But on this note, that life is precious. When we talk about collaboration, about education, on all what we are talking about the preservation of life, and also building that life to be productive. So our existence depends on those who will live. But we equally see that La République is bent on putting that knife between all of us, so that when we knock our heads together, the enemy comes in. If there is no enemy, if there's no division within the house, you will not be able to see cracks that will let the enemy come in. On this note, I would like, gentlemen, we have talked so much on education, but before education, we have to also talk about our peace, the struggle on the ground. If all of you can, maybe it's a difficult question, talk to our fighters on the ground. And before we proceed, I would like to pay respect and homage to our heroes who have gone before us, and those who are in the hospitals, those who are in jail, and to promise them that never again, and we shall never forget about them until we get to Boya. So let's give 1 minute of break to their sacrifices shall never go in vain, and we shall not stop until we get to Boya. So, comrades, patriots, I will open it for each of you to address the issue of unity unity in collaboration, not really unity of collaboration, because the question of unity is quite not attainable without collaboration. Of collaboration of our valiant soldiers on the ground, as well as of our communities on the ground, because our communities too, like we say in Mancon, that the eye of the quick for is the grass. That I mean, all of us understand that. So the army, our fighters on the ground, can only be as efficient if the grass can help them to be able to work well. So please, each of you, could you address or speak to, pay homage to what is going on? Mr. Ntube, could you lead it, please?
Okay. Thank you for giving me this honor to talk to our valiant warriors. If the revolution is still alive, it's because they are alive. Alive not only in the body, but alive in the mind and in the spirit. They are fully conscious of their call. They are fully conscious of their sacrifice. And I think they're going a step ahead of us to show this unity that we are all hammering for. There is nothing that we can say better than what those guys have shown us. They have shown us that governance is doing. Governance is not just speaking, but doing. I always believe that what we think must be transformed into what we do and must be shown by what we have done. Our fighters have done everything, but there's just one aspect that our fighters are still having a lot of difficulties, that of interrelationship with the local population. Many times we still have difficulties and differences between the thoughts, the local population, and the thoughts of our fighters. And I think that that loophole cannot be filled by our fighters, but by the diaspora. The diaspora should transform itself as an instrument of education, of revolutionary education, of revolutionary information, and revolutionary advice to our people back home, to empower and build the capacities of our populations to understand the importance of our fight. It is not the fight we started, but the fight we are resisting on, so that we can survive as a people. We already know that our people have accepted the country Sunday. I think that is the only thing that has remained in the mindset, as collective mindset of our people, country Sunday, which maybe it has been transformed into something different from the original purpose, and which is sad to hear, because the original purpose was to show the Republic that we can decide as a people. Country Sunday in some areas has been transformed into drinking parlors and people do their personal things without any meditation about the struggle. We also have another section of our population which is against our struggle, because maybe they thought that we're going to gain independence in 1 or 2 years. And they don't know if they have to look into the history of resistance and revolutions in different countries. They would understand with us that a revolution is not fought in a year, because the oppressive regimes never let it go so easily. Ambazonia has a clear case of independence, a clear legal case, a clear geopolitical case, clear cultural case, a clear linguistic case towards our independence. And the Republic is aware. That's why they are attacking us. So I want to give 21-man gun salute to our warriors. Salute spiritually those who have left us. Salute the women who are supporting them. Salute the business people who are supporting them, and to encourage them to stand firm. The key word is national interest. key word is national interest. We may not see our independence coming. Let's stand on the top of the hill and see it, and gaze on it, and rejoice over it, hope for it. Then maybe we shall be built internally to resist and to stand firm together. Then we shall succeed. What say Ambazonia?
On that note, I will quote the one that everyone probably knows. I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I know it is there.
It is there.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We are seeing the promised land. We may not get there with everyone, but in the end, our people will get to the promised land.